I represent my ward, and I've been hearing a lot of people who are opposed to the call to prayer being on loudspeakers. So, and I'm in agreement with that. And I believe in freedom of religion. I believe people should be able to practice whatever they want. But I think keep it within your church, keep it within your mosque, keep it within the walls of your church. It doesn't have to be broadcasted in the broader community. And I think the big thing too is, these are words, and words can be interpreted in many different ways. And other people can interpret the words of a prayer in certain ways, which can be both positive and negative, which could create, I think, division in the community. So I guess the bottom line is just, keep it in your church, and let's just keep peace in the neighborhood and keep peace in our city and keep religion separate from the broader community. If you want to have a parade, and if you want to have a picnic, that's fine, of course. Those are kind of one-offs, right? But, to create something that's going to be consistent and it's going to be every Friday, and maybe it's going to be maybe not once a day, maybe it ends up being twice a day, and maybe it ends up being more days than one, let's just sort of kind of step back and keep it in our churches and keep it in our places where we worship. And that's as simple as it is. As soon as you say something negative about something like a prayer like this, people are getting labeled as being bigots and racists, which is wrong. Because I think what's going wrong in our society is as soon as people actually stand up and actually want to oppose something or don't agree with something, all of a sudden they become racist and bigots. I think that's wrong. I think, at the end of the day, let's just keep things in our own churches, in our own mosques, in our own buildings, and let's just keep the peace and let's just move on, because things have been fine. So we don't need to create this sort of tension in our community.
It's important to note that thankfully, municipal government does not have the authority to restrict Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Today, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Legion. Many of our grandparents fought, or parents fought in the Great Wars, so that everyone can have the right to express their religion, to express their political views, to dissent, to assemble, to proclaim. And we respect those rights, lest someone come and challenge our own way of thinking, praying, and voting. And so today is an opportunity for people to ask questions, to express their concerns. But it's important to note the City Council has no authority to issue these permits, but nor do cities across Canada have any right, thankfully, to restrict anything in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And I think that's an important point that needs to be made. Thank you.
Oh, I got a question for you.
Sure.
The authority to issue these permits is delegated from council to the police, and just because there's nobody here to speak to this from the police, do you have any sense, or has there been any conversation about what criteria the police are going to be using in this case or any case to issue this noise permit, because there's a request in right now to extend the noise permit?
The Chief of Police and the Regina Police issue permits under the existing noise bylaw, and it is the parameters of that bylaw that they use. And until the bylaw is changed, those are the rules by which they operate. But it's important to note that should any city in Canada choose to use their bylaws to restrict freedom of religion, freedom of expression, political association, assembly, proclamation, that would violate the charter, and the courts have restricted that in an effort to protect the charter. So, to put it quite simply, the City of Regina as a municipal corporation has no authority to restrict religious freedoms or to change our noise bylaw in an effort to do that, should we choose.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone come with concerns to you? Like, what kind of concerns do they have?
I'm sorry. Almost all of the correspondence I've heard have been from out of province and out of country folks. What I've heard from my residents are questions for context, and I have found that in-person conversations over a cup of coffee or events like this are great. We need more in-person conversations. Look, we can disagree. Our community's changing. Change can feel uncomfortable, but change is also good. And when you have an opportunity in person to talk, that's how community is built. And so my constituents have asked questions, which are healthy.
Today we have a survey on call to prayer because we have received some negative feedback through social media. So we want to make sure in Canada here we are respecting each other, and we also want to understand, like, if we need to update anything, we also are more than willing to do that. The reason we are here arranged an in-person survey because we want to reach our neighbors, and it's not too far for them also to be here. So we thought we have a call to prayer, open house, a survey in person. So we also know the neighbors. We also meet and greet. If they have any comments, they also can share in writing. That also we would share with the Regina Police Service because they are the one also extending the permit. As you know, the permit expired on last July 10, and we applied for extension before July 10. And we also are going to share the feedback that we will have from today's survey with the Regina Police Services, and they are the one to decide.
This is the first mosque in Canada then to broadcast call to prayer?
Yes, in Regina, so far I know, right? And in Saskatchewan, so far we know that this is the first mosque will be if we have the permit renewed from the Regina Police Services. This will be the first mosque that will have the call to prayer with a loudspeaker.
And why did you decide to be the first one? How did this come about?
It is not that we have decided to be the first one, because we also did some research to see if we can have call to prayer with a loudspeaker, and then based on the research we find this area falling under the downtown mostly are the businesses, and also the religious, the diversity, right? So all religions, they have their own the method to call the people to come to pray. So that is why we thought that why not we are also having the call to prayer with a loudspeaker, because all mosques outside the country they have, right? So that also will help us to prove that we have a freedom of religion.